up, party people? Welcome to the reincarnated Dollars and Debt show, where we talk about mortgages, personal finance, and anything we can do to help you move forward in your life financially. So let's kick things off this week and dive into a market update. What's going on in the world of real estate and mortgage, specifically in British Columbia, Canada. So what is going on with, as we've seen, is of course, everyone knows about the rapid increase of interest rates over the last, quite frankly, 18 months. I think February, March of over a year ago of 2022 is when we started to see those rates go up. So we're really about 18 months into this rate increasing market, and it seems to have settled down a bit. No one has a crystal ball, but you just have this real kind of feeling of settling with the rates and, not sure, there's enough evidence that they could go up and go down. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. But I will say it does feel a bit like it's settling. But what we've seen because of this rise in interest rates is we've actually seen a decrease in a lot of the values of homes. And something interesting that's happened is specifically the bigger the place, the bigger the purchase price, the bigger the dip. And I'm not just talking percentage-wise, or just dollar-wise. We're talking percentage-wise too. We're seeing, $2 million properties staring at $1 million. And so when you see a market like this, you got to know what the opportunities are. So this couldn't be a worse market to downsize. When the values are going down, bad market to downsize. However, amazing opportunity to upsize right now with the values down. Because if you think about this, okay, what we're seeing in this market right now is the condo market has gone down, but not as much as the townhouse market. And the townhouse market has gone down, but not as much as the detached. So what a great opportunity to upgrade into a property that has been really discounted. Again, the upsize is the real key thing right now. So a lot of the objections we get with that is that the interest rates suck, and I actually don't disagree with that. But the reality is at some point these rates are going to come down, but the values are also going to go up. So I kind of look at this market as it is right now, is the interest rates provide a short-term pain, but the potential on the real estate, on the value, is a long-term gain. So really great time for that. The other thing I think that's safe to keep in mind, and the other kind of objection we always hear, is I'm going to wait until the rates start to come down. And that is absolutely a strategy you can play. But what I can assure you is the second the rates come down, all the buyers are going to come out. And when you have a bunch of people competing for the very small amount of inventory we already have, prices go back up. And we can flip into a seller's market, multiple offers very, very quickly. So I feel that if you wait until the rates come down, it is already too late. At that point, you are going to see prices increase. So I really think that that's something that people should think about if you're in that upsizing market. If you are in the market of downsizing and you don't have to, might be an opportunity just to sit back and wait. Just wait till things settle down a little bit and the values start to change and we start to see an increase, and then it might be a better time to do some downsizing. So I thought that was a pretty interesting, I just lost my pen, an interesting fact. So another thing I wanted to touch on today is the idea of variable rates, and talking about that like adjustable rate where your variable goes up and down with the interest rates, and that static payment where the payment stays the same, but the interest portion within that payment adjusts. And the reason I think this is a great timing and we should re-familiarize ourselves with this was a really hot topic a few months ago when that term trigger rate came in, and it's all these people that had static rates saw sudden jumps. That was a great time. But very interestingly enough is the short-term fixed rates, those 1 and 2 year terms, have crept up and are now more expensive than the variable. So we might actually see the variable become more popular again, and therefore that should I have an adjustable versus a static rate payment, which one is good for you? So let's look at this demonstration of what the differences of the both of those are.
What really happens when your amortization extends, and how do we get there? Okay, so basically when you have a variable rate payment, or really a fluctuating rate payment, the terms we often hear, or we hear variable or adjustable, right? And traditionally a lot of people use those interchangeably because they do something in the sense that when the prime rate changes, the amount of interest changes, right? When the prime rate goes up, more interest is charged for those. When prime rate goes down, more less interest is charged. But really what the big difference is when with the variable, the payment typically stays the same. And within it, the interest goes up or down depending on the prime rate. And with an adjustable rate, the payment itself goes up or down. Okay, so that's the difference, right? So if with an adjustable rate mortgage, when the prime rate goes up, the payment goes up. When the prime rate goes down, the payment goes down. Whereas with the variable over here, when the prime rate goes up, the payment always just stays, well, it typically stays the same. But within that payment, how much that goes to interest and how much goes to principal is what happens. So why is that important, and what's the effect of that? Well, when you get a mortgage, the time in which it's going to take you to pay back that mortgage is called the amortization. Okay, so this is where you hear kind of generally speaking the big numbers: 25 years, 30 years, etc., etc. So what happens is if you have a mortgage on the adjustable side, and let's, for sake of instrument, let's stick with 25 years. If you take an adjustable rate right here, and let's just say your payment is $1,000 a month, and that means the loan will be paid off in 25 years, okay? Let's say the interest rates go up, and so then let's say this goes up to $1,200, but again, you're gonna stay on the exact same pace you were, depending on when it was, okay? So if you were a year into it, it's 25 years. But the difference on this side over here, right? So the good thing about here, what you know, is you always know it's paid off in 25 years. But over here on this side, this is where it gets a little bit interesting, because let's just say the rates go up. Well, your payment here, if rates go up, what happens is payment stays the same. And so most people figure, okay, that's great, but then something's got to give. What goes up, like if the interest grows up, something else has to go up. And if it's not going to be payment, then it's the amortization. So even if you took a 25-year to start with, you might look at the next year, you might look, if rates went up and all of a sudden you have 27 years left, maybe you have 30. And as rates go up, this goes higher and higher and higher. And that can be very, very dangerous. So it's important to note what your goal is and make sure that you know what you're doing. It feels good and then right away knowing the payment is not changing, but it can result in some serious damage, because if you think about it, if your payments are here, stayed at $1,000, okay, but it added an extra 2 years, went to 27 years, well, that, if you think about it, of your cash flow, that's an extra $24,000 of your pocket because the interest changed. So it's really important to know the effects of extending the amortization. People often forget that for every month that your amortization goes out on longer is another month of that full payment.
So you can see that it's really important to not just take any variable rate product, right? You want to know which one works specifically for you. Funny story about that. I actually was just recently talking to somebody, and he's in a static rate product, and they have finally just started jumping his payments because of the increases. His amortization increased all the way up to 79 years. Like 79 years, craziness. You know who you are. But I thought that's the effects actually. And so imagine paying your mortgage back. I mean, he's increased his payment. He's brought the AM back down, but real scary situation where you're not paying attention to that. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to bring up today is a really unique situation that we're seeing more and more of. I mentioned at the beginning here about not wanting to downsize, but what we are seeing more and more as the world gets more expensive is I'm seeing a lot of people in retirement wanting to leave the major centers. It's time, here in BC, moving up to the interior over to the island. And the people, the older generation, what we're seeing with a lot of them is they're first and foremost very house rich. A lot of them have no mortgages on $1 million properties, $2 million properties. So, which is a great position. But where it's not a great position to be in is they're retired. They don't make a lot of money and quite frankly, don't qualify for a whole lot. The other challenge that population has is when they want to make this move, the last thing they want to do is try and line up their moving dates exactly the way it is. All the stress of trying to line that up and rush. And what I am seeing a lot of them prefer to do is they want to be able to buy their new home, move into the new home, get settled into the new home, then list their old house and sell that and do this. So really more on their terms. But the challenge there lies in how are they going to qualify for anything because they don't work. And quite frankly, how are they going to acquire that property when every ounce of money they have is sitting in the house? So that's where a product like a reverse mortgage, and I know it's had a bad connotation and a lot of times they're not great, but this is a specific situation where I think they're outstanding because a couple of things come into play. Number one, you don't have to qualify. They're not concerned about income or credit. They're concerned about age, quite frankly, and how much equity you have. So one of the knocks against reverse mortgage is because you don't have to make any payments, it eats away at the equity. However, we're talking about a short period of time here. We're talking about maybe bridging 2 or 3 months. And I just think it's a really great product, a really great idea to just alleviate all the stress. Don't worry about lining up dates. Sell, purchase and buy on your own terms and don't have to worry about payments. I just think it's a really great thing. So I think if you're maybe grandmas and grandpas, parents, that are out there thinking about that, it's something they should really look into to help them out. So I hope this first reincarnation show was valuable to you. If you have any questions, you know where we are. I am Jason Suddy. This is the Dollars in Debt Show. Your story starts here.